All right, so thank you all so much for joining me for a 60-minute restorative yoga class. If we haven't met, my name is Holly. So restorative yoga is gentle. It's meant to be slow paced, relaxing. Sometimes when we're doing yoga or a fitness class, maybe we'll, kind of ignore what our body is telling us or ignore what we really need in the moment in service of, the yoga posture or whatever fitness endeavor you're doing. Restorative yoga is all about listening to what you need in the moment, and just really listening to yourself and honoring what it is that you hear yourself saying. So in that spirit, take a moment and just think, in the spirit of restorative yoga, what is it that you would like to have restored this evening? And maybe just keep that thought or intention in your mind during class. And if you ever find that you're, contorting your body in a way that wouldn't help you restore whatever it is that you want restored, just keep that in mind, right? Or we're just taking some time to relax, to be still and breathe. So we're actually going to start with something called EFT or tapping. It's also referred to as emotional freedom technique. And it's basically acupuncture without the needles. So we're going to tap out different meridians in our body. You can Google it after class. It's called EFT tapping. Some people are really into it. Some people think it's pseudoscience. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, but I do notice that I feel a bit different after I practice it. So I'm going to share it with you today. Again, the idea is you're going to tap out with your fingers different meridian points on your body. And you can also have like a mantra or an idea while you're tapping. So the traditional way you do it is you are going to do an even though blank statement, I know blank. So an example would be, even though today was really stressful, I know that the sun will rise tomorrow and I know that I can get through it. Or even though, things at work aren't going great right now, I know that I can work through it. I know that I'll be okay. Stuff like that. Even though my best friend and I are in a fight, I know that we'll, get our friendship back on track, whatever that is for you. So think about that statement in your mind. Okay, and then we're going to start. You're going to pick a hand, doesn't matter which hand, and you're going to basically tap out the karate chop side of that hand while you say that statement. So tapping, even though today was difficult, whatever the statement is, I'm going to use my example. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow and I know everything will be okay. Okay, from here, you're going to move on to your hairline. Tap out your temples, under eye area, tapping out the space between your nose and upper lip, chin, collarbones. And this is the fun part, the under armpit area. Okay, bring your arms down by your side, take an inhale, exhale. We're going to do that 2 more times. Starting again with the karate chop part of your hand. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I know everything will be okay. Moving on to your hairline. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I know everything will be okay. Moving to temples, repeating this statement to yourself. Under eye area, keep your shoulders relaxed. Space between your nose and upper lip. Chin. Collarbones. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I have trust that everything will be okay. And armpit area. Good. Bring your arms down. Take an inhale. Exhale. Maybe noticing any shifts of consciousness or the lack of shifts of consciousness. Everybody's takeaway from this is valid. For some folks, it can be an interesting energetic shift, and for other people, just a fun way to kind of tap your body. Okay, last time, take your hand and tap it out. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I trust that everything will be okay. Moving to hairline, temples, under eye area, space between nose and lip, chin. Even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. Collarbones, I trust that everything will be okay. And under armpit area, even though today was difficult, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I trust that everything will be okay. Okay, bring your arms down by your sides. Again, that's called EFT. If that was something that spoke to you or you're just curious to learn more about, you can always Google it after class, EFT. Okay, wonderful. Sit in a comfortable position if you're not already. I should have said that before. I hope you weren't sitting in a super uncomfortable position while we were tapping. Find yourself in a comfortable seated position, either crisscross applesauce or maybe with one foot in front of the other, easy pose. As you inhale, stretch up out of the crown of your head. Exhale, tilt your right ear towards right shoulder, stretching the left side neck. It's worth noting that I'm not mirroring you, so it might look like I'm moving my head to the left when in fact I am moving my head to the right. You are welcome to follow my words or my body. Just know that in general, I will do the right side of postures first, unless I forget, which does happen from time to time. If you'd like, you can even place your right hand on top of your head and pull down for an even deeper stretch. Keep the shoulders relaxed and the chest lifted. Notice if you're leaning to one side. Evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones so that it's just your neck moving. If you have your hand on your head, release that grip and slowly roll your head down, chin to chest. Sit up nice and tall. It's gentle compression to the throat and extension to the spine. In Ayurvedic medicine, some folks believe that bringing the chin towards the chest can stimulate the thyroid or parathyroid gland, also sometimes called the throat chakra. So this is stimulating the throat chakra or thyroid, parathyroid. Extension to the neck spine, cervical spine. Keep the chest lifted and the shoulders down. Relax your jaw. If it feels good, you can interlace your fingers, place your hands behind your head for even more of a neck stretch, but never forcing the body. Okay. If you have your hands behind your head, release that grip and slowly roll your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side neck. And you might find that this side feels a little or a lot different. You might know why, right? Like a previous injury, a surgery, maybe you always know that your right side shoulder neck is a little bit more tight, or you might be surprised to find that this side feels different. You're welcome to keep your hands by your side or place your left hand on left head and pull down. So yoga gives us an opportunity to notice incongruencies in our body, or where we're tight, where we're loose, stuff like that. Yoga gives us an opportunity to address those incongruencies, to address those things that we'd like to change. And yoga gives us an opportunity to be okay with the fact that, like, you know what, one knee might always be a little bit more stiff than the other knee. That's okay, right? We can't change everything. If you have your hand on your head, gently release your hand, roll your head back down. Roll your head up, and this time we're going to look up towards the ceiling, lift your nose, lift your chin. If it feels good, you can relax your head back all the way. And if you'd like extra support for relaxing the head back, I'm going to show you from the side. You can interlock your fingers behind your neck and then use that to relax your head back. So there's a little bit less pressure. I find that bringing on days where my neck is really tight, if I bring my hands behind my neck for a little bit of extra support, it's easier, I should say, for me to relax my head down. I have a chronically stiff neck, and I find that looking up with the support of my hands behind my neck is one way to slowly release tightness from the neck, if that is something that you relate to. Okay. So this time we're opening the throat chakra, or we're opening the thyroid, parathyroid gland. It's this movement of bringing the head down and up that helps to open that part of the body. Okay, slowly roll your head back up to center. You can release the grip from behind your neck if you were doing that. And this time we're going to twist the neck. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over your right shoulder, twist. Now we're just working on the neck at the beginning of class, so try to keep your shoulders and hips facing the front of your mat space. Just looking over the right shoulder. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look back. Good. Slowly, carefully unwind. Take your time. And we'll do the other side. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over left shoulder. Notice if you're leaning to the left, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. Relax your shoulders, lift your chest. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over your left shoulder, twist. Good. Slowly, carefully come back to center. This time we'll get the whole upper body involved. Place your right hand close beside you and inhale, reach your left arm up overhead. Now, eventually you can come down deeper into the posture by even bringing a forearm to the floor, but try to keep both hips on the floor. If you, like me, have a long torso, it's pretty impossible to have the arm on the floor without having the hip come off the floor. So I always have my hand instead, but if you have a shorter torso or you're super flexible, can have forearm on the floor. Relax your shoulders, lift your chin, option to look forward or look up towards the ceiling. Press your left hip down, right hip down, just to stretch through the left side body. If you're looking up, rotate your head back so you're looking forward, and you're gonna sweep your left hand forward and place left hand outside of left hip, and this time reach your right arm up. Drop your shoulders, lift your chest. Again, you can have your hand on the floor, or depending on flexibility and body proportions, maybe even forearm on the floor, but do keep right hip down on the floor. So evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. Option to look forward or look up towards the ceiling. Just a nice stretch to the right side body, and by extension, gentle compression to the left side body. If you're looking up towards the ceiling, look straight ahead again. This time, sweep your right arm forward, left arm forward, drop your head, and push the floor away from you. I'm going to show you from the side. This is a gentle rounding to the spine. If you have a recent back injury or a history of slipped discs and rounding your back feels intense, rather than rounding your spine, arch your spine a little bit. So stick your butt up, stick your butt out, and just fold forward with a flat back. Otherwise, letting the spine round. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, your forehead. Good, and slowly walk your hands back in, roll yourself up. This time, place your hands behind you, squeeze your shoulders together, open your chest, look up, and if it feels good, relax your head back. Imagine you have a number 2 pencil in between your shoulder blades that you want to squeeze together. So it's an opening through the chest and gentle compression to the spine. So you can stick your butt out, press your abdomen forward, lift your chest up, look back. Good, and slowly, carefully roll yourself back up. As you inhale, reach your right arm up, stretch up. Exhale, place your right hand close behind you like a second spine. Inhale, reach your left arm up. Exhale, place left hand on right knee. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over right shoulder and twist. So the spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting to each side. We will do all of those multiple times in class. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over right shoulder, twist. Good. Slowly, carefully come back to center. Let's do the other side. Inhale, reach your left arm up, stretch up. Exhale, place left hand close behind you. Inhale, reach your right arm up, stretching right side body. Exhale, place right hand on left knee. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over left shoulder, twist. So I like getting into this posture by lifting the arms first, because then we get a side stretch. Of course, we could just put our hand, on our knee and behind us and do the twist, but Stretching the body by lifting the arms first is a reminder that sometimes there's a lot of value in the transition in and out of postures as well as the posture itself. And this is true in life as well, right? Sometimes when we're so obsessed with the destination, we can't see, how much benefit there is to the journey itself, as cheesy as that can sound. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look back. Good, and slowly, carefully unwind. Okay, meet me in tabletop position on all fours. We're gonna do some cat-cows. So now really getting the body involved, slowly warming ourselves up. We're gonna start with cat pose. As you exhale, round your spine up towards the ceiling, pull your belly button in, drop your head down, press your hips forward. Imagine you're like an angry cat rounding your spine. As you inhale, drop your belly down, lift your chin and chest up, stick your butt up like a cow. When you think about cows, remember they're like udders and their stomach that hangs down. That's what we're doing here as we bend the spine. Exhale, cat pose, meow. Round your spine, press your hips towards your ribs, spread your shoulders wide, bring the shoulders away from the ears, push the floor away from you, drop your head, look for your thighs. Cow pose, moo. Drop your belly down, squeeze shoulders together, open your chest, shoulders down, away from the ears, tailbone up towards the ceiling. One more time, cat pose, round the spine, compress the front of the body, drop your head, tuck your tailbone under, and cow pose. Stretch the front of the body, compress the spine, bring your tailbone up, look up, shoulders down, away from your ears. Good. Come back to a neutral position. From here, keep your left leg bent and take your right foot behind you. Can keep your tuck your right toes under and push back for a nice calf stretch. It's a great way to start to slowly wake up the lower body. So the more you press your heel back, the more you'll feel the stretch in your calf muscle. Option to stay here, or for a balance challenge, take your left hand off the floor, so opposite hand, and then maybe your right foot off the floor. And we're gonna hold here for 3 breaths. Drop the shoulders, engage the abdominal wall, slow inhale, slow exhale. Relax your jaw, breathe in, breathe out. One more breath, shoulders down, looking forward. Good, and return, bend the legs, bring the hands back down, tabletop. Let's do 3 more cat-cows. Rounding the spine, arching the spine, move at your own pace. Compressing the abdomen, stretching the abdomen. Going inward, looking inward. Going outward, looking out. Good, come back to a neutral position. Let's do the other side. Take your left leg long behind you, tuck your toes under, and press back for a nice calf stretch. And the more you press the heel back, the more you feel this calf start to open up. Good, option to stay here, or bring your right arm out in front of you and take your left foot off the floor. This is the most active of the postures we do, I promise. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. Try to square off your hips, so left hip down, right shoulder back. Breathing in, breathing out. One more breath, relax your jaw. Relax your face. Good, and slowly come back into your tabletop. You're gonna sink your hips down and stretch your arms forward for child's pose. If stretching the arms forward is a little too much on the arms and shoulders right now, no problem. You can bring your arms down by your side. And if it feels good, you could even put a pillow under your head. Otherwise, reach the arms forward. Sink your hips down, get a nice stretch. We're gonna hold here for a full minute. Sink your hips down as you stretch your arms forward. And if it helps, you can return your thoughts towards what you want restored, or maybe even the story that you told yourself in tapping. Notice where you're still carrying tension. Just let it go through the breath. See if you can relax into the child's pose rather than force it. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. Carefully walk your hands back in. Take your time, push yourself up, and then we're going to turn around and lie on our backs for our first savasana or puddle pose. Okay. Oh, that feels so nice. So lie on your back in a comfortable position. You can have your arms and legs down or spread out to the side. For those of you that find it uncomfortable to lie on your back with your legs straight, there's a couple options, right? You can bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor and let your knees rest side by side, and that should take some pressure off of the lower back. You can also roll up a little towel or blanket and put it under your lower back so there's more support there. And if lying on your back just is not comfortable at all, you're always welcome to roll off to the side and lie on your side or on your abdomen. So this is what we call either savasana pose, sometimes referred to as corpse pose or dead body pose, or in yin styles of yoga, we call it puddle pose, right? So the idea is you're meant to act like a puddle. And, if you were lying down in the middle of the day and somebody were to see you and be like, what are you doing? And you were just like, I'm lying down. They might be like, that's weird, right? Or like, what's the point? But think about it this way, it's the intention of what you're doing that makes it powerful. So rather than just being like, I'm lying on the floor, this is kind of weird, think about it as like you are doing a yoga posture. And in fact, many people would say this is like the penultimate yoga posture, right? We do the other ones so that we can relax in savasana. Lying on a hard floor wouldn't necessarily be comfortable to like sleep on overnight, but it's actually really good for stretching out the body in between yoga postures. So think of the floor as a prop, right? Let the floor hold you up. I once met a woman, this was a couple of years ago, who was a big yoga person, loves practicing yoga. And she talked about how she's in her 60s, I think. And when she's in her 50s, she was, been doing yoga all the time. And in savasana, she started to feel this like discomfort in her like lower middle back on the side. And she just was weirded out, right? Because she would do savasana all the time. And all of a sudden it felt different. And so she finally went to the doctor and got it biopsied. And she actually had a tumor on one of her kidneys. And it was pretty small. Like they were like, how did you know that this was there, right? It wasn't something that was like protruding from her skin or anything like that. And she was like, oh, yoga. So I love that story too. Sometimes it can feel like savasana or rest in general isn't a good use of time, but that story reminds me that like, wow, there's so much to be said for being so familiar with your body that lying down on your back, you might like feel something a little bit different, right? So we're just getting a little bit more familiar with our body, familiar with our breath. And by extension, we are learning or perhaps relearning how to really listen to what it is we need in this moment. Okay. Okay, next we're going to do a happy baby pose. Bend your legs up so your feet are on the floor, knees bent if they're not already. And then you're going to lift your feet off the floor. Bend your knees, bring your knees, thighs out to either sides of your torso, and see if you can catch the outsides of your feet with your hands. So I like to have my elbows insides of my knees and my feet, grab my feet from the outside. So if you've ever like seen a happy baby, right, you can kind of picture them doing this. At first you can roll side to side, and this is also just a nice way to roll out the back muscles. As you roll to the right, maybe straighten your right leg, bring it back into center, roll to the left, straighten your left leg, bring it back into center. Good, and then just find your way back to the center, maybe pull down a little extra hard and then hold here. And we're gonna hold for 2 minutes. For those of you that are go-getters in yoga and perhaps in life, I'm going to guess if you're a go-getter in one way, you're a go-getter in the other way. How we do one thing is how we do everything. Say that again, how we do one thing is how we do everything. For those of you that are go-getters in yoga and or in life, it can be tempting to be like, I need to get the maximum stretch to my thighs and hips in happy baby. I need to pull down as hard as I can, right? I need to like push, push, push. What if instead this was time to practice being okay with doing just a little bit less, especially when we're holding postures for long periods of time, like 2 minutes? I'm sure you're going to stretch your, inner thighs, hamstrings, you're going to open the hips, but you're also going to work into connective tissue, into fascia, into ligaments and tendons, right? So if you were to hold this posture for like 20 seconds, it might be tempting to pull down super hard just to get that stretch to the muscles. But when we hold for 2 minutes, then it's not just about, opening muscles or stretching muscles. It's about the other parts of our body as well. Again, tendons, ligaments, joints, even skin gently stretching, pelvis and hips opening up. This posture is a good hip opener. See if you can relax your pelvic floor. Notice if you're holding tension there. It's a nice way to stretch out the back to the floor. Good inner thigh stretch, good for digestion. And again, just doing a little bit less in all these postures, less than you think you need to, is just good practice for other parts of our life where we might, be thinking that we're not doing enough when in fact we already are. So I like to use yoga as a way to practice things that I want to work on outside of the room, right? If I want to work on being forgiving to myself, I'll work on that in yoga. If I want to work on patience or compassion, I'll work on that. Listening, whether it's listening to the teacher better or, listening to myself better. So whatever it is that you want restored, whatever it is that you want to practice in here that you'd like to take with you outside of your yoga space, use that as your guide rather than, how deep can I go into a posture? How far can I push myself? Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. About 30 seconds left. Notice where you're holding tension. See if there's another inch of your body that you can just relax. So rather than forcing or fighting into the posture, you're just melting into it. Breathing in, emptying out. Start by releasing the grip on your feet. If you'd like, I like to place my hands on my outer knees, thighs. Whew, bring the knees, feet back together, and then slowly lower your arms and legs down for puddle pose or savasana. And if you need to wiggle or twist or squirm in any way to stretch out, feel free to do so. And then just find a little bit more stillness. Sometimes the release from the posture can be as intense as the posture itself. which also translates to outside of the room, right? A lot of times we don't fully process something until after we've gone through it. The most obvious example is if you are running from a bear, you are not processing that trauma until after it is safe. Another example would be like if you're really stressed out at work, sometimes you don't process that until the end of the workday, right? Or in yoga, sometimes when we're opening the hips, we don't fully process that until the hips are back into a more neutral position. Sometimes with these hip openers, like Happy Baby, they can release some tension, some emotion from the front of the body, and they can also stimulate the nervous system. So if you do feel a surge of something, whether that's like a shift in temperature, the hairs on your arms stand up, you want to cry, you want to giggle, a memory comes up, that's all really normal. That's an involuntary response to your body moving and maybe letting go of some stuff. Take an inhale through your nose. And an exhale through your nose. A year after I met this woman who was telling me about her kidney cancer. It was at a group meeting, so there were a lot of people there. Actually, some of you might have been there. It was when Rajeshri was in town. But a year later, I was talking with a student. This is at our old hot yoga studio. I was talking with a student who's pregnant, and hot yoga and pregnancy, some people are totally fine with it. Some people think it's dangerous. I think if you're cleared to do it by your doctor and it's something that speaks to you, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm a big fan of whatever you believe in, go for it. But I was talking with this woman who's pregnant and practicing every day. She was like, at first I was scared. And then after the first trimester, my doctor told me it was safe. And she was like, and then I talked to this woman, about her kidneys. And she was like, I realized that I wanted that during my pregnancy. I wanted something to be there that was the same every day, like yoga, so that I could kind of figure out what else was changing in my body. And I thought that was so interesting again, right? Because growing a child versus growing a tumor are obviously two very different things, but that had stuck with her, right? The idea of the consistency of the yoga, of the savasana, of the lying on your back was a control group, right? When everything else is changing around you, if you do one or two things consistently every day, even a yoga posture, that becomes a way to measure how everything else is changing around you. So, even if you don't have time for yoga every day, if you do like an intentional savasana or an intentional child's pose for a minute or two, that can be a nice control group in your day. So you can be a good scientist with your body. Take a slow inhale through your nose. And a slow exhale through your nose. Next, we're going to do a supported back bend. And this is a posture where you will want some pillows and maybe a blanket for. So if you do not have pillows, feel free to find some. On the one hand, home practice is kind of weird because most of us don't have like fancy yoga props like bolsters. But on the other hand, I hope we all have pillows, right? If you do not have pillows, call me and I will mail you pillows. Okay. So we're going to use these pillows to support our back bend, and I'm going to show you how. It'll take a little bit of time to figure out what works for you. I'm actually going to grab another pillow too. So usually what you want here is a big pillow that's going to go under your back, and then a smaller pillow or a rolled up blanket that's going to go under your head. And the idea is you're going to kind of sit on your butt and then choose one pillow, two pillow, three fish, blue fish, however it goes, right? You're going to let your back relax on a large pillow and then your head relax on a smaller pillow so that you get this curvature, this opening to the front of the body and gentle compression to the spine. Now, if you'd like a deeper back bend, obviously you can put more blankets or pillows under your spine. If it's too much, just have a small blanket or pillow under your back. And then you can let your arms and legs go out to the side. And we're gonna hold here for 5 minutes. Isn't this great? So if you want, you can even like put a blanket over you to keep you warm. Take your time finding what works for you. You might be lying down and you're already like, nope, this doesn't feel right. Change what you're doing. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. Find a place where you get this nice opening to the front of the body, compression to the spine, but not to a point that feels unsustainable or painful in any way. And then you can just close your eyes, open your arms and legs, and breathe. Just like hip openers, when we open through the front of the body, especially this solar plex nerve system, there's this big bundle of nerves in your abdomen. When we open, when we stretch that part of the body, when we stretch those nerves, sometimes it can release emotion or an involuntary nervous system response. So again, if you experience like a change in temperature or goosebumps or especially like the urge to cry or laugh or whatever it is, that is normal. There's nothing wrong with you, particularly in a culture where we do a lot of hunching forward, right? Hunching forward over food, work, laptops, children, most of all, the big one hunching over our cell phones. We do a lot of hunching forward. That bundle of nerves in the stomach kind of squeezes in. When we do these intentional back bends, it's going to stretch out. It's not a bad thing, but if it feels odd or intense for you, that's all. That's the reason why, right? There's nothing wrong with you. And I just say that because about once a month, I get a message or a call from somebody saying, I'm crying in a back bend. What's wrong with me? Do I need to go to therapy? And my answer is everybody should go to therapy and there's nothing wrong with you, right? So if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't feel anything right now, that is totally valid. But if you are having a weird out of body experience with a back bend or a hip opener in yoga, there's nothing wrong with you. If nobody's told you this yet today, there's nothing wrong with you, right? You're just releasing some tension from the front of the body. With that being said, I'm going to be quiet and we're going to hang out for 3 more minutes. Notice what you're thinking about. See if you can return your thoughts towards your breath, towards what it is you would like restored, or maybe that story you told yourself when we were tapping, the even though statement. Notice where you're still holding on or carrying tension. Just let it go through your breath, just relinquishing that need to control or fight or force. About 30 seconds left. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. Breathing in. And emptying out. Let's be intentional and careful with how we undo ourselves from this posture. So for me, I like to bend my legs so that my feet are on the floor. I'm going to gently lift my hips and remove maybe the first pillow from under my back, and then maybe the second pillow. And then, I mean, you can just keep the pillow under your head if you want, because that's super comfortable. Or if you'd prefer, bring your pillow out. Shavasana, puddle pose. But seriously, if the pillow under your head feels good, keep it there. But if otherwise, just relaxing onto the floor. And let your spine even and lengthen out. So in that back bend, there's a little bit of compression to the spine and stretching to the front of the body. And now we're just letting everything come back into equilibrium through this neutral position. All right, next we're going to do a spine twist, and I'm going to give an eagle leg variation for the legs and the spine twist. So you can have your arms out to the side or bent cactus like goalposts. From here, bend your legs up so your feet are on the floor, knees resting together. And I'm going to give you a couple options. The first is simply to lift your right hip off the floor and roll to the left so that right hip stacks on top of left hip, right knee on top of left knee, right foot on top of left foot. Keep your right shoulder on the floor. So this is just a simple having one leg stack on top of the other version of spine twist. The other one, if you would like to take an eagle leg variation, from lying on your back with both butt cheeks on the floor, feet on the floor, you're going to keep your left foot on the floor. You're going to lift your right leg off the floor and see if you can cross your right thigh over left thigh. So think right hamstring over left quadricep. And then from here, so you're crossing your legs, right? From here, see if you can wrap your right foot behind your left ankle calf. That might not happen today. You're welcome just to keep the legs, what's the word I'm looking for, wrapped or crossed, or you can wrap the right foot behind the left ankle calf. For an eagle leg variation, if you do 26 and 2 yoga with me, this is, we do this balancing on one foot, right? But here we're doing it on the floor. And from here, you're just gonna roll off to the left so that right hip stacks on top of left hip. Try to keep right shoulder on the floor. Option to have your head on the floor looking towards the ceiling, or bring your right ear towards the floor looking to the right for a neck twist. And we're gonna hold here for 3 more minutes. So especially if you have one leg crossed on top of the other, or you're even doing, the foot wrapped behind for the eagle legs, this is a nice internal rotation to the hips. In Happy Baby, we really open the hips, and in that big back bend we did as well, right? So this is a nice way to move the hips in a different direction. If you have the legs crossed into that eagle variation, it's also very good for opening up the knee and ankle joints. Of course, we're doing a spine twist here, right? It's good for wringing out the back, and it's a nice little abdominal twist as well, good for digestion. One of my favorite yoga teachers, Mary Jarvis, will often say the antidote to a back bend is not a forward curl, it's a spine twist. I like to think of spine twists a bit like a chiropractic adjustment. In fact, you might have heard your back pop at a certain point or not, both are normal, but this is just a good way to kind of reset the back by almost wringing it out like a wet towel. And again, it's also good for the digestion and abdominal wall. Notice where you're still holding on to tension. See if you can just exhale it out, melting into the floor, relaxing into the posture rather than forcing it. About 1 minute left. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. If you're looking to the right, slowly roll your head back to center. I like to actually place my hands on my knees, thighs for extra help, and you're gonna slowly roll your right sit bone back down to the floor, so both hips are on the floor. And then if you have your legs wrapped or crossed in any way, unwrap, uncross, and then arms and legs down, petal pose. And if you need to stretch anything out first, feel free, and then just find a little bit of stillness. Practice remaining fully present in your body. So whenever the mind does start to wander, which is natural, inevitable, there's nothing wrong with it, mine does too. But whenever you notice your mind wandering, just gently return to the sensations of your body, the rise and fall of your belly with your breath, and the truth of the present moment, whatever that means for you. Okay, let's do the other side. Bring your arms out to the side, or you can cactus them like goalposts. Bend your legs, feet on the floor, knees rest together. And again, two options. You can just roll to the right. So left hip lifts off the floor, left hip on top of right hip, left knee on top of right knee, left foot on top of right foot. Or you can take the eagle leg variation, crossing your left leg over your right leg. So left hamstring over right quadricep. And then see if you can wrap your left foot behind your right foot or ankle. And then slowly roll to the right. Try to keep left shoulder on the floor. Again, this side might feel a little or a lot different. I'm definitely tighter on this side. Try to keep left shoulder on the floor, but never forcing the body. You can look up towards the ceiling or look to the left. For those of you that practice 26 and 2 yoga with me, you know, when we do eagle pose there towards the beginning of class, right? You try to wrap one foot behind the other. A lot of us can't wrap the foot at all. Some people do find that it is easier to wrap the foot like so in eagle pose from the floor. So just keep that in mind. If you're noticing right now that you can wrap your left foot behind your right ankle here, but you can't when you're balancing or standing on one foot, that's really normal. Sometimes like before or after class, you can try the legs on the floor. And then one day you'll be able to do it from a standing balancing position as well. But just keep that in mind. Sometimes things are easier to do standing or seated or lying down for different bodies, right? Notice where you're holding tension. Let it go through your breath. Also notice, when you release tension from one part of the body, does it just move to somewhere else or does it leave entirely? Sometimes almost like a ping pong game, right? You relax the left shoulder and then the stomach tenses up. And then you relax the stomach and then the knees squeeze, right? So see if you can just completely relax. Melting into the floor, relaxing into the posture rather than forcing. Maybe returning to what it is that you want restored, returning to the story that you tell yourself about who you are on the inside. Take about 1 more minute here. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. If you're looking to the left, slowly roll your head back to center. And then to come out of it, I like to place my hands on my knees, thighs for extra help. Whew. Roll your left sit down, back down. So 2 glutes on the floor. Uncross, unwind your legs, and then arms and legs down. Puddle pose. Notice any sensations, any energetic shifts, or lack thereof. Whatever you're experiencing or feeling is valid. I love this about yoga. I love talking about yoga. We can do the same posture and have completely different experiences. And there's not one that's a right experience, right? In fact, my yoga practice is enriched by, learning what you're feeling in postures, right? And I hope vice versa as well. So if anything I say does not resonate with you, that's not a sign that you're doing it wrong or that I'm doing it wrong. That's just a really cool fact of life that we can go through the same thing and experience it different and then maybe learn from one another. Bend your legs up. This time, knees, feet together. Lift your feet off the floor. Hug your thighs into your torso and give yourself a big squeeze. You can grab your elbows, you can grab your knees, you can lift your head off the floor. Squeeze super tight, maybe squeeze everything in. Take an inhale. Squeezing tight, even tensing up your face, your shoulders, tense everything up. Inhale. And then open your mouth, release the grip, let it go, arms and legs down. Let's do that 2 more times. Bend your legs up, give yourself a big squeeze. You can lift your head off the floor, tense your face, squeeze everything nice and tight. Inhale. Open your mouth, let go of your elbows. Let everything go, release the arms and legs down. 1 more time, bend your legs up, give yourself a big squeeze, hug yourself for coming to class, squeeze tight, inhale. And exhale, let it all go. Arms and legs down. Final savasana. I am purposely giving us 5 minutes at the end of class. So this is not the end of class. This is 5 minutes of our final posture, savasana or puddle pose. Now for this final version, if you want to get bougie, do it. Put a blanket over your body, put a pillow under your head, go wild. It's Tuesday after all. Indulge yourself. I find myself at my most American puritanical austere sense when I'm a blanket over my body in yoga. That would be crazy, right? Go wild, go crazy. Put a blanket over your body, put a pillow under your head, close your eyes, open your arms and legs. Final savasana. So again, just like my friend who's a cancer survivor, my friend who now has like a beautiful, gosh, like 8-month-old baby, just like they remind me, like, this is it, right? This is the posture that helps you figure out everything else. And everything else is changing. Everything's going a little wacky around you. Just lying still on your back can tell you an awful lot about how you are doing. So how are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing? When and where are you doing? Grounding yourself in real time and space, the truth of the present moment. How are you doing? What would you need to do just to relax a little bit more? To let go just a little bit more. Let your hands and feet be heavy. Soften through your feet, your calves and thighs. Relax your hips and seat. Let your belly button be heavy like lead. Relax your stomach and chest. Relax your whole spine down to the floor and let the floor hold you up. Soften through your hands, forearms, upper arms. Relax your shoulders. Soften through your neck and throat, jaw and forehead. Let your eyeballs be heavy in their sockets. Relax completely, completely relax. Breathing in, emptying out. The more still you become, the more you let go, the more you relax and come back to yourself, the more alive you become. You are so very alive. Stay in final savasana as long as you'd like. It is always my great honor when somebody tells me that they fell asleep after class. Otherwise, take your time getting up. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, friends.